G'day, it's Dan here, and we're going to continue building our damage rolls, and we're going to start looking at the out-of-band messaging. So out-of-band messaging allows a player to make changes to records that they don't own. So the Fantasy Grounds database is owned by the Games Master, the DM, and they can manipulate the entire database, not directly, but through the application. Players can only manipulate records they own, and the only records players own are their characters and any notes that they create. So what we have to do to apply damage to an enemy when a player attacks them is we need to use some out-of-band messaging. So just to show you what happens, I'm going to do a attack roll here, or a damage roll, sorry, and we've got two targets, and this is the GM. So when the GM does this, we can see that damage was applied to Konak and Sonia. But if I was to use the same script that we did in yesterday's session, as a player, no damage would be applied. The same reporting would happen, but the damage wouldn't get applied. So let's see what happens now when we do it as the player. Player's going to select Canto, and we can see the combat tracker in the background. What happens is when we do the damage roll with the pistol, so Konak and Sonia both had 10 damage. Now Konak has 16 damage and Sonia has 13 damage. So the player was also able to apply damage. Exactly the same chat descriptions here, except of course now the player's doing it, their portrait displays, and we don't get these hidden roles, which is just part of the options that are set by default in this campaign. So now we've got Canto's portrait, the proper description, and damage is being applied. So let's go and have a look at how we code that. So if you want to get past just building a character sheet, you have to learn how to do out-of-band messaging. And it was something I avoided for a long time, and it's actually not that hard. So let's break it down. Let's walk through this file here. So we start with a declaration. So we have to specify a role type, and it needs to be unique. So this is R damage, R being an abbreviation for range damage. So we've got our OOB message type R damage, that's also unique, equals R damage. In our onInit function, this is a really important string again. We've got OOB manager, this is a core RPG function, dot register OOB message handler, and we have to pass it two pieces of information. So the first one is this OOB message type R damage from we declared at the top here. So that's the first value. The second value is the function that will run and that will do the out-of-band messaging. So this function will run basically as the GM and have rights to write to the database. So handle R damage. If we scroll down, we will see our function down here, function handle R damage. So that's our OOB function that will do the actual work. Next, we declare an array MSG OOB, and we declare that this function is going to use this OOB type at the end of the function. So when this function completes, it will then go and run this, and when we run this OOB message type R damage, it will then run the handle R damage script. We've done these description for these in the previous video really quickly. Node CT is our target information. N wounds is the current wounds of the target. N HP max is the target's maximum hit points. N current HP is a derived value. We do some math here, calculating HP max minus wounds. We declare a new variable, N total. We then iterate through the dice as they roll, and we sum the dice for each target, storing that as N total. We then create a new message using Actions Manager, create action message. And remember, this has got our source and our role, so it's got the attacker's info and it's got the role info but doesn't have the target info. We then, to fix that or to make that more friendly, we then check if our target is true. So if there is any targeting information, we will then append attack versus target name to the back of the role description. We will then append damage and the damage dice rolled to the back of the chat message description, and then we will use com deliver chat message to deliver that message to chat. Now we're back to some new code. So now what we want to do is we only pass a single variable to our OOB function, which is handle R damage. We can see here that handle R damage accepts a single variable, and it's called MSG message OOB. Right? So what we want to do is we want to add some extra pieces of information to that. So we're just going to whack some extra nodes onto the MSG OOB. And the first one we want to do is the total dice that was rolled for the damage roll for that target. Next, we want to add the target's information. And then we want to add the target's current wounds. And that's with those three values are because of what I'm going to do in the next screen. So you might be adding more fields or less fields, very different fields depending on what you're trying to achieve. We then use com deliver OOB message and MSG OOB, and that's going to send this information to our function handle R damage. Nothing gets written to the chat from this command. This just hands off processing to our next function. So we then retrieve wounds, we retrieve the damage, we retrieve the target, and we're doing those from the MSG variable. And then we do a very simple db.setValue of our target HP wounds, so our target's wounds. We're going to, the next field is a number field, and what we're going to do is set in there the damage total plus the existing wound value. So if they've got 5 wounds and we roll a 7, it's going to do 5 plus 7, it's going to apply 12 to, it's going to replace that value with the value of 12. And that's it. That's the end of the OOB messaging. So it's pretty straightforward if you just break it down into nice simple steps. All right, so the function that's called is, all it's doing is writing to the database. Everything else, all the chat message and everything else is all done by the previous function. And the way that function handle R damage is called is because up here we said that whenever an OOB message type R damage is used, the OOB function is handle R damage, and this script here is called by our damage roll, and right at the end of it, it then says, this is an OOB, what do I do? And the OOB knows that it's a R damage roll, so it passes it on to this function. Might take you a couple of goes to get your head around it, but I'll post all the source code down below and work your way through it. It's fairly straightforward, and it's got plenty of comments in there so you can follow along with it. And in our next video, we're going to add some more detail into our role, because there are other mechanics to this damage roll that we haven't yet incorporated. Thank you. Thanks for watching.